Today's episode is brought to you by MTD CNC, the go-to platform covering the latest stories in the world of manufacturing.
Welcome back, my friends. You know, every perfect gear that hums quietly inside your car, turbine, or medical robot starts with someone who still believes in craftsmanship. Today, I'm hanging out with my buddy Jeff from Star SU, part dreamers, part engineers who built a family around precision. From their home in Michigan, they've turned cutting tools and gear machines into something that feels alive, something that connects people through motion. They don't just sell tools, they help the world turn. Literally. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. Almost 100 years, and you are fourth generation. I have to know more about your story.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. We're the ones grateful. I wouldn't have a show without you.
All right.
You are the star here today.
Okay. Well, a little bit about myself. Fourth generation, yes, have the privilege of working with my family. Had the opportunity to work with my grandfather, who was second, and now currently my father and my brother and sister are also involved in the business. So we are very blessed to have a wonderful business and built a great business model around it globally.
I think a lot of people out there connect more when we hear family owned and operated, family owned. We appreciate that. And to be fair, a lot of the big corporations out there, they make great products as well, but I like supporting families.
Sure.
And I know a lot of our audience, what's it like working and growing up in family owned and operated of such a successful company?
Yeah, there are many dynamics to it. All right. For sure. There's, lots of opportunity. That's usually the where everything starts is you're given an opportunity, but you have to earn every bit of the success and progress over the years. I often like to say that I've been working for the business for almost 60 years, but they've only been paying me for about 38. So
nicely played, sir.
Yeah, and that is usually the story, is where you get introduced at a young age to, the business. And one of the things that we've done as a family is never mandated participation, but see where it goes, people's passion, their interest, and it's been a great model. We've been successful with it.
When you were growing up, did you love it immediately? Was there a love-hate relationship? Did you know you were going to get into it? What was that journey like?
Well, I think like any youngster, you look up to your parents, your father. I had the privilege of looking up at my grandfather and always wanted to aspire to get their attention, and approval, but kind of follow in the footsteps and learn about what the legacy of being in the business was all about. It's not a right, but it's sort of in your fabric of how you learn and what you're raised as a child to aspire to it. So I loved it. Yeah. I do have a passion for it.
It's a really great example. I think how a lot of us, we do aspire in that same way. Our parents do different things, of course, but we aspire in that same way. Do you have any noteworthy, memorable stories that you can share with us? That it could be funny, it could be serious, but anything that you could share.
I do. And I happened to talk about this just recently when I graduated from Purdue University. I had several different opportunities. An engineering degree, you're fresh, and you got the wind behind your sail, and you think you can conquer the world. And at the time, I was questioning, did I really want to come and work for the family business? And my father, who was many, many years wiser than me at the time, during the conversation, I said, well, I don't think I want to come and work for Star Cutter, Star SU. And he said, well, why not? And I said, well, there's a lot of problems. And he smirked and looked at me and he said, what's your degree? And I said, engineering. And he said, well, if you find a company that doesn't have problems, they don't need to hire you, Jeff.
What a great answer.
It was a great segue, and it really was part of that cornerstone of, adversity is always part of any business. And, as you look through the history, certainly almost 100 years, we look at our timeline, and there's been a lot of external adversities and internal adversities to the development of our business. And I think you what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's part of the magic of what we have as an organization. One of our mottos is that there's always a solution with STAR, and the endurance and resilience of kind of finding a way or making a way through everything that you're faced with is part of our fabric, part of our DNA as a company.
I think that's very well described, and I know there's a lot of synergy in what you say amongst our industry as a whole. I mean, we are a whole bunch of misfits that just figure stuff out in order to make this whole world run.
Absolutely. Progress, not perfection. It's, keep inches make miles. Let's just keep moving and progressing. I think that the ups and downs over the years, 100 years, we had the bright idea of starting the company in 1927.
I can do the math on what came soon after that.
Soon after that, you had the Great Depression, and I wish I could sit down and have a conversation with my great grandfather to learn, well, what was it all about? How did you get through it? And we've had facilities have a fire. We've had, many different things that have happened throughout our history, and I think that at the epicenter of all of it is the people, the tenacity to just find a way, and certainly stay close to your core competency, and really what you're good at. Over the years, we've had to make decisions of what not to do,
Yeah, sure.
because you can be led astray. You can try many different things. It's not to say that you shouldn't take risks, but today's world is very intense, and you got to be laser focused on where your opportunities are.
Yeah, very well said. And I'm a risk taker. I got to be honest, Jeff. I'm one of those people who is going to run and jump off a cliff and hope that there's wings, because I think that's how the greatest. I mean, okay, I love to learn from failure, and failure definitely occurs when we take risks. But I'm a big believer that that's how we get out and have the most success. Some of the most powerful companies I see, much like your own, come from taking a risk that other people aren't doing, because if we're doing the same as everyone else, what sets us apart, right?
Yep, that's for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about some of those risks you've taken as you said 100 years, obviously starting in the around that time frame, right? That's a risk in itself, but let's talk about some of that.
Well, a great example of that would be going from a predominantly Midwest centric company originating here in Detroit, Michigan, and then growing to a global organization. The uncertainty and risk of becoming global versus kind of the breadbasket company here in the Midwest was essential for us to remain relevant and to follow our customer where they wanted us to go, whether it was to Asia, to Mexico, Europe now with our inclusion of the Sampleton Sealy Group in our gear tool portfolio. So it's taking a risk to take a step out. And one of the things I've learned is that at the heart of it all is the quality of the people in every one of those locations, every part of the world. Fundamentally, people are the same everywhere. They want to buy product and interact with people they trust and rely on. And so relationships is the key part of what you have to do, not just supply a good product or service. It's about treating people right, having the right values, respect, trust, and dignity to evolve into 99 years of business is the secret sauce that makes it happen.
I'm done with this podcast, Jeff. I don't know if there's anything more profound you can say or we can say. Yeah. That was so well conveyed. Thank you for that. Because you're right. I mean, what you just described turns literally, I guess, a cold product, but it makes the whole world, run. But you take something that's material and metal and carbide and all this stuff, and you humanize it and you make it about the people, and you have done that. So very well said, my friend.
Yeah, and I think behind every great organization, you always look at the people.
100%.
Right? And that's what we've been blessed with over many years. We have the honor of, as a family, going and recognizing employees that have either been running equipment for 40 or years. Could be that they're part of a technical support team, part of our administration. We've been blessed with longevity, and that's certainly the reason we've been able to succeed over the years. Great products, absolutely. Market position, no question. But without the resources and the commitment and trust that goes both ways between an organization and employees, it can be short-lived.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't that all right? Let's talk a little bit about the products.
Okay.
I would like to dive into that a little bit, and I'm going to ask you the hard question first, and it's probably an impossible answer, but I just want to ask it. I hope that's okay.
Go for it.
Do you have a favorite product? I have to ask this because of the position you're in.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
So we're blessed to have 5 different business units. In our industrial sector, we have 4 product groups. I love them all. I've given, parts of my body for the success of those products, but I do have most of my young adult and professional career was spent with the gear tool products. I had the opportunity to operate, learn how to make the cutting tools for gear tools in our Michigan location. It was a little bit of a baptism by fire. Mm-hmm. My grandfather and father said, hey, why don't you go try that out for a year or two? Little did I know 25 years later I'd still have my roots sunk deep into northern Michigan. And the really great thing that happened was the people that gave me permission to make mistakes and learn. So I would say gear tools is very dear to my heart, but part of the magic of Star Cutter is that we're vertically integrated. Mm-hmm. Our machine tools, Star Cutter is the largest user install base of all of our machines because our machines are used to make our cutting tools. Our round tools, gun drills, reamers, solid carbide tools are used to make products. And then our carbide division, where we make special carbide preforms, they're used in every one of the different business units. So it's not just one, they're all together, but I'd say to answer your question, gear tools has got a special place in my heart.
I didn't know if you were going to have an answer, but I'm glad you humored me anyway,
and
Jeff.
I apologize to all my other divisions, but they know it. They know where I can easily kind of spark up.
Yeah, I can see it in you. See it in you. All right, being vertically integrated, I think, is incredibly important. And what you've just described to me kind of defines how you can be at the top of your game constantly, because you're always improving, because you're improving yourself in other areas, right? And so every day you're doing R&D, coincidentally, just based on the synergy between each of the departments, right?
True. Sharing lessons learned, and that's one of the things that is very powerful in the sales of the product is we're not just producing something, we're using it. We're making it work, and so there's an extra level of confidence in the competency.
Exactly right. If an audience member listening, watching right now, Jeff, is just learning about you for the first time, which is after 100 years and being in the industry you're in, I find that almost unimaginable, but let's pretend for a second. Let's live in a fantasy world where someone's just learning about you. What would you say really sets you apart? What would you say a listener out there that's in this world would say, I need to give it a try?
Mm-hmm. That happens frequently. Sometimes we run into customers that say, well, I didn't know you did that. And, for a business that's been around for almost 100 years, you're like, what do you mean you didn't know? How is it that you didn't know? But so much dynamics, you get a lot of interchangeability, and you have to keep repeating your message. One of the things that's key is that you got to identify in the market of being a problem solver, right? We fundamentally are a solution provider that happens to make a cutting tool or a piece of carbide or a machine tool. And in today's world, with the depletion of knowledge and expertise, that's so important to help your customers succeed, because many times they don't have the knowledge that maybe they had 10 or 15, 20 years ago. And so that is kind of the mission of what we're all about. being a special problem solver, a solution provider, and oftentimes we're helping the customer with solutions that may not be delivered by ourselves. It's just part of who we are, to make sure that we're responsive and we're attentive to their needs. We're not perfect. We have plenty of opportunities to improve, but at the heart of it, we want to be responsive. We want to be attentive to their problem and help them get that resolved.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, if it's all right, Jeff. I'd like to dive in, because being 100 years, you've seen all sorts of evolution and changes, and the industry has gone through so much in 100 years. I would say, discussionably, because I don't like to argue. I don't like to say arguably. I like to say discussionably. Discussionably, Jeff, there was a time where there was more knowledge as a broad spectrum in our industry, more people involved in that knowledge and understanding, even though we didn't have the interweb and all that stuff where you can you Google, run on the chat GPT and find almost any answer you want these days. There was a time when that information was shared human to human. We always talk about a skills gap and labor shortage, which, if we're going to dive into that conversation, we would also say that there has been a loss of knowledge along that time. And I've heard machine tool companies, tooling companies, work holding, coolant, everyone in that the sector that we work in, all kind of agree that knowledge has been lost or lessened, and the generation that's getting ready to leave our industry, that's the last of maybe that true engineer that was born with it, right? And so how have you adapted over the years to make sure that you're just not drop shipping products, or you have your catalog, you give it to them, they place an order, whatever it might be, that you're making sure that knowledge is not lost because you guys have it and they can learn in turn to make sure your products are utilized effectively?
Yeah. Great question. The key, as you said, is making sure that you're connecting with the customer and where they're at with their knowledge base. By design, we are special solution providers. We're not, no matter what product it is, we don't make standards. So our customer base predominantly is looking for a solution, and we have to bring that application expertise. As you said, that experience is depleting out of both the customer side and as well on our side. So the answer to that is to build standards, not necessarily a standard cutting tool, but standard methodology of how you solve the problem, how you support the customer, how you resolve the issue, so that you can almost be more scientific. In the cutting tool industry, we have been blessed over many years of craftsmanship. These are artists that have worked OD grinding or sharpening. And in our business, you may not see an order for 18, 24 months. So you've got to recall, these individuals over many years have built this expertise and competency. And to transfer that to, say, a new person that's coming out of a trade school or whatever, it's very difficult. So you've got to create the combination of building their craft and experience while they have, say, the institution of known knowledge and proven engineering techniques to meet the needs of the customer. It's not easy to do, and certainly many of our peers in the industry are going through the same thing. You have to have a combination of connection with the schooling systems. In my opinion, we need much more collaborative support from our government to help promote the investment in training and time. Here in Michigan, we have the Going Pro structure for supporting industry, and that right now is under some question about the different parties and who views what. I think it's a very important piece of helping support companies to have the ability to support the future technology. We don't have 40 years ahead of us to allow someone to learn how to go and solve a problem with a customer. In many cases, they might only have 2 years experience, but they need to have the experience of the company behind them to be able to go in and confidently solve the problem. Our formula is to put competent people at the spindle with the customer, bring to them our knowledge of the application, and then work with them and their people on how to solve the issue. There's no easy way to do it by any means.
No, I think back to my machining days, Jeff, and I come from 12-year machinist, and a lot of failures and a lot of breakages, and some training here, some training there, and just what's happened since that time as well. And even that's been a lot of changes to go along with it. But man, I promise you, we could have used a company like yours to get a lot of our guys out on the shop floor, because it was being lost. And I thank you for diving in and believing in that and understanding that. And I think 100 years and being fourth generation, I believe you said brother and sister with you as well,
correct.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, this is something I believe is near and dear to your heart. I can feel it when you talk about it, that you want to take care of the industry. If you had any final messages as we close this out, Jeff, for everyone listening right now, whether it's existing customers, future clients, someone that's not heard of you, if you were in an elevator and you had just a few seconds before, unless you hit that emergency button and froze the thing because of such a good conversation, but if you were in an elevator and you had a few seconds to let someone know this is who we are, this is what we believe in, what would that message be?
I'd say that if you have a problem and it happens to fall in one of our business unit categories, we'd love to help find your solution. That's what we're all about. We want to be responsive and attentive. And I think that if we can't find it, we'll help you find who can.
It's a great answer. I think we only made it to the 4th floor, actually. You probably have another 10 or 20 floors you could have given me an elevator pitch, but I like that.
All right.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
For everyone watching and listening, and we appreciate you. What I love about Star SU is that behind all the metal, math, and talk, you find heart. These are people who take pride in every tooth of every gear because they know reliability builds trust. They talk about service like friendship and technology like art. It's that blend, craftsmanship, community, and curiosity that keeps manufacturing human. And that's exactly what keeps the world moving. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time, your education, your wisdom, your mentorship, and everything that you do for everyone around you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. If you want to find out more about what's happening in the world of manufacturing and engineering, visit mtdcnc.com.